My name is Jaclyn Wright. I'm a Salt Lake City-based artist, and my work incorporates photography, video, installation, and performance. I've been in Utah for about 3.5 years, and I moved here from Chicago, Illinois. Utah is very different from the Midwest. So when I first moved here, I was really fascinated by the diversity of the landscape, particularly of the desert. And one thing that sort of has informed my practice is the way that climate change is particularly visible in the desert and in Utah more generally. This has to do with the Salt Lake drying up, increase in dust storms, wildfires, amongst other sort of extremes and natural disasters. And that has played a big role in shaping the type of work that I'm making and how I'm responding, particularly to the landscape here. I'm trained as a photographer, but my practice has really evolved over the last 5 to 10 years. It incorporates not just images, but installation, performance, and video. These things sort of manifest themselves in the studio through what I've been working on more recently and what will be a part of this project, which is in-camera masking with a large format view camera. I'm using laser cut dark slides that I'm then inserting into the back of a 4x5 camera, and together those create a singular image on one sheet of 4x5 film. I also visit the desert and photograph the locations that I'm pulling objects from, and then create large-scale backdrops, which I use for the installations as well as for video performances, which are also part of the exhibition. When I first got to Utah, I was exploring the West Desert, which is located right outside of Salt Lake City, and I came upon some sites on BLM land that were used for recreational gun use and target practice. This was something that I had not ever experienced before, and I was really fascinated by how the land was being used. These sites are often littered extensively with the residue of gunfire, which includes, not just obliterated rock and what is ecologically there in the desert, but also large non-biodegradable, household appliances such as television screens, dishwashers, refrigerators. The list could go on and on. And these are, huge objects that are not easy to remove. And I found not just one of these sites, but tons of these sites throughout the desert, and began sort of frequenting them regularly and trying to figure out how I wanted to engage with these sort of strange places and what was happening in them. In 2021, I received a grant that gave me access to special collections at the University of Utah, where I began sifting through decades of archives that were taken from specifically the West Desert and sites that I'm frequenting. And those images, together with the objects collected in the desert, are in dialogue in the images that are included in the exhibition. I started to think about issues around gun culture, But more specifically, I became interested in what I felt that these objects represented more broadly in terms of the culture of land use, the history of settler colonialism, the relationship to rugged individualism, and American exceptionalism. And I was thinking more broadly about the sort of visuals that I was collecting and how they point to broader issues of a laissez-faire attitude towards land use, the absurdity of shooting guns at the landscape, particularly in a location where the climate crisis is especially visible. One of the objects that I was finding frequently at these sites were clay pigeons, and clay pigeons are projectiles that you throw into the air and shoot at for target practice. And these clay pigeons are often made blaze orange by the manufacturers who produce them to stand out against the blue of the sky on a clear day to make them really visible. And so I began collecting these projectiles and using them in both the installation and also in performances where I created a bikini out of the found clay pigeons from the desert. I realized that my interest was both visual and symbolic in the way that I was attracted to the bright orange color as I was walking around the desert, cleaning things up. I recognized that that symbolically relates to a lot of the things that I'm interested in terms of this idea of blaze orange being sort of in opposition of nature, the relationship between the visible and the invisible. I continue to go to these sites because I see a lot of contradictions happening at those locations that are relevant to what's happening politically in the United States.